uncensored, and unapologetic. This is Stenchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stenchfield.
No bail, no jail, let them sail.
That's right. No bail, no jail, let them sail.
That sums it up. Now you know what we're talking about.
I mean,
right?
It sounds fun, actually. No bail, no jail, let them sail.
I'll tell you what, it is a horrible policy. No bail, no jail, let them sail. And what's happening? Cities across America are being destroyed, including Los Angeles, California, including Washington, D.C., including Chicago, Illinois. I could go on and on and on. Now, Washington, D.C., holy macaroni. I'm being cleaned up like you wouldn't believe. You've got crime, some parts of crime, divisions of crime, categories of crime, down 80+% after President Trump has taken over. Next stop, Los Angeles, California. I only wish. Seriously, the next stop on the hit parade is Chicago. Now, President Trump doesn't have the power that he has in Washington, D.C. to go do a lot of the things that he did there in other cities like L.A., like Chicago, like Detroit. But he wants to go into Chicago. So what does Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, do? Signs an executive order saying the police cannot work with the feds when they come in. No cooperation. Zero, zip, nada. Do you know over Labor Day weekend, at least 53 people were shot in Chicago when I checked the numbers? 53 people shot. You telling me Chicago doesn't have a crime problem? Jay Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, cut 15.
So this is dangerous. They shouldn't be doing it. It's anti-American. It's un-American.
Hold on, pause.
And I would tell her.
It's dangerous to go rounding up criminals. He's saying it's dangerous. Well, no kidding, it's dangerous to round up criminals. Why do you think we have such respect for the cops? Why do you think we pray for our men and women who put a flag on their shoulder and venture out into harm's way to keep us safe? We pray for them because it's dangerous. That doesn't mean you don't do it. That means the criminals have won, which they have in Chicago. Continue.
So this is dangerous. They shouldn't be doing it. It's anti-American. It's un-American. And I would tell her to maybe check herself for what does she really believe.
That's talking about Kristi Noem. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I don't think so. I think Jay Pritzker needs to check himself. Do you know the problem with Chicago is the same problem in Los Angeles, the same problem in New York, the same problem in all of these big blue cities? How many times do I have to say it? Because it gets boring. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Oh, they don't enforce crime. No bail policies. Ooh, what a great conservative commentator. Boy, you're really on it, Stenchfield. Well, no kidding. The problem is if you don't enforce the law, you're going to have criminals run hog wild, and that's exactly what's happening throughout blue cities in America today. And the reality is most big cities are blue. They just are. I hope that changes someday. But right now it's not. So most big cities in America are dangerous. Yet Pritzker has the audacity to somehow say that we are succeeding when it comes to crime. Cut 16.
What we won't do, however, is engage in what is a federal effort. That is to say, they have their job, immigration. We have our job, which is to fight violent crime on the streets of our city. And by the way, we're succeeding at that job. But when they bring people in and don't coordinate with us, they're going to cause enormous problems.
You're succeeding at that job? I just told you. 53 people shot over the weekend. How is that success? I could go to the numbers here, too, if you'd like, Governor Pritzker. Chicago has more murders, the most murders, okay, out of all the states for 13 straight years. the most murders of any big city for 13 straight years. Hey, L.A., I'm going to give you guys some good news. You have 3 times fewer murders in Los Angeles, California than Chicago. Woo! But think about what that says. We know we got a big problem with gang violence in L.A., and Chicago is 3 times more. It's bad enough in Los Angeles, but Democrats will use this. Oh, well, look at L.A. We're 3 times less than Chicago. They want to. I mean, my Lord. Chicago has 2 times the amount of murders than Islamabad does. This is like a third world country here. So when you relate this back to what happens when you get enforcing the law, the feds go in, do what they need to do, the success there, man, oh man, I'll tell you what. People love it. Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. attorney now, Judge Jeanine, in D.C., had this to say about the efforts in D.C. Cut 6.
Washington was one of the most violent cities, not just in the United States, but in the world. So let's not pussyfoot around this whole thing. We've got individuals who are being shot, stabbed, beaten, and brutalized, and arrests are not being made. In the last year and 8 months, 45 black teenagers, minority teenagers, have been shot and killed with firearms. You know what the clearance rate is, Shannon? The clearance rate, meaning how many cases have been solved, is 29%. That means that 70% of the murderers of African-American teens, all of them killed with guns, are still out on the street with their guns, continuing to do what they do. And so for all those people who say, oh, crime is down, isn't this great? That's nonsense.
I agree, Judge Jeanine. Think about it. That low rate percentage of solving these murders. I just saw former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. We're going to have on a little bit later. Did some of his own research in L.A. County. Of the nearly 148,000 reported crimes, okay, 148,000 reported crimes, only 16% had there been an arrest in. You've got growing crime and a drop in arrests. You tell me if that's a recipe for success when it comes to battling criminals. Growing crime, growing reported crime numbers, and fewer arrests. What you've done is you've taken police out of the equation. Only 16% of the people that are committing crimes have been arrested. Imagine if you're a victim, what that means. And again, I love carjacking, to use this example in D.C. 85% of carjackings are down, 85%. 85%. Do you know what it would be like to be the victim of a carjackings? You get a car pull up in front of you at a light, pull up behind you at a light, blocks you in, somebody gets out, sticks a gun in your nose, and you got to hand over your vehicle. That's a frightening, frightening prospect, and they will kill you for that car. No, I know it's frightening. We didn't get carjacked, but I was in Mexico over the weekend, and we decided to go up the road. We were in Punta Mita in the Puerto Vallarta area. We decided to go up the road, take a car from the hotel, go up and have dinner. When we're coming back from dinner, we're on one of these little back roads leading in this little beach area. We're surrounded by kids on motorcycles. You know, those third world country style motorcycles too. They look like they're about 40 years old. And you got kids on there and they're zooming in and out. And I'm waiting for them to pull up next to us and stick a gun through the window and tell us to pull over and take my very special lady friend's very expensive ring, which I told her not to wear, to Mexico. But she wore it. Now, she looked beautiful in it. Don't get me wrong. Everything she wears, she looks beautiful. But she shouldn't have been wearing that ring. I was very, very concerned. And what am I going to do? I can't carry a firearm in Mexico. I'm at the mercy of them. Hey, what do you take the ring? I guess. I'm certainly not going to try to fight 5 armed teenagers on motorcycles in Mexico with my tactical pen that I'm carrying. It's not going to go very far. So she wore the ring, though. I can't believe I looked down on the airplane. I said, oh, boy, there's that ring. I said, we're headed into the belly of the beast. Oh, well, we said a few said a few prayers, and lo and behold, we came back safe. Tanner, for sure, we had a great time, but safe. Anyway, Judge Janine is correct. And so something needs to be done in every city across America, including, by the way, Los Angeles. President Trump, bring the feds here. Bring the ATF, bring the DEA, come to Los Angeles. Enjoy the sun. You know what would be great? Capture MS-13 gang members under the bright, sunny skies of Southern California. What a great advertisement to bring the federal agents in. Enjoy the beaches as you capture Tren de Aragua members. Sounds good to me. I'll tell you what, I am so happy to tell you about a new sponsor of mine, the cryptocode.com/grant. This is a crypto trading system that literally takes the guesswork out of trading. It can be automated. You get trade alerts. There are the high setup probability indicators. All of it is going to be included in this system that is literally so simple to operate. So if you want steady profits, okay, if you want to build wealth, all with minimal risk, and this is the key, then the crypto code is for you. The cryptocode.com/grant. That's the website I want you to go to. So my buddies over there are running free seminars all week. This will take you through the process. They open up the playbook for you, all right? Now, as for the trading alerts that the crypto code offers, I want you to take a look at this. This is their win rate on this. 93% of the 2,175 trade alerts they have offered up multiple times per week, okay? 2,024 wins, only 151 losses for a 93% win rate. I've gone through and I've checked the math on this, and I'll tell you what, it's nothing short of amazing. So if you want to get involved in crypto, but you don't want to risk the farm, the crypto code is for you, and you're not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars for these. You know, these trading bots can be very, very expensive. This is the most reasonable deal I've seen, and it may be the most successful trading bot and system and trade alerts all packaged in one that I have seen. The cryptocode.com/grant. Go sign up for this seminar. You're not going to regret it. Trading involves risk. There's no doubt about it. Results aren't guaranteed. Terms apply. I'm not giving you financial advice. That's what the FTC wants me to tell you. What I want to tell you, though, is go to the cryptocode.com/grant. Welcome back, everyone. So when it comes to quality of life, I think nothing is more important than having a safe community. Nothing is more important than feeling comfortable that your kids leave the house, they're going to come home. Or your kids leave the house, they're not going to get robbed on the way to the convenience store. Or it's okay for them to walk down to the grocery store or the 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, whatever it might be. But I would say in more communities than not, especially in Southern California, you don't feel that way. I mean, you could be in the nicest neighborhood in town. Look, Pasadena, Beverly Hills. I'm not sure I even want my kid walking to the store in these areas. Westlake, beautiful. But I'm not sure I want my kid going out alone. It used to be you could go out alone. You used to go down to the playground. What age are you letting your kids go alone now? I don't know. 17 for me. Because anything earlier, forget it. And I don't even really think it's the kidnappings now that you got to worry about as much. Not that you don't have to worry about that. I think it's like the robberies. The kids getting bullied, harassed, beaten, anything like that. That's what I would be most fearful of. Why? Well, it gets back to this idea that criminals aren't being arrested. 148,000 crimes committed in L.A. County reported. 16% lead to an arrest. That means the vast majority of criminals are still out there roaming the streets, ready to do their thing. Do you know in L.A. County now, there are twice as many motor vehicle thefts than there were going back to 2001. Twice as many, and there were a lot in 2001. Have you ever had your car stolen? You come out, where's my car? Usually when that happens, it's towed. You were going to a bar late at night or something, and you didn't see the no parking signs, and they tow it, and then charge you $400 to get the car back. That, by the way, I really do believe is also, car napping is what it is, because they're holding your car hostage. I'm not a big fan of tow truck companies. I went to buy a tow truck company once, and I wanted to make sure they did not engage in that kind of activity, and they didn't. It was a AAA company, and it was a nice little business. I backed out of the deal. It was right as COVID hit. And what do you think? When you're AAA going to fix people's tires and bring them gas and jumpstart their cars, and, God forbid you got to tow somebody someplace, right at the height of COVID, nobody was on the roads. I got scared. I shouldn't have, though. Fear got the best of me. Because ultimately, COVID passed, that business is doing very, very well. I know the guys that own it. Anyway, motor vehicle theft 2 times more than they were. You got homicides that are through the roof. And yet, nobody makes mention of this. Nobody cares about this. I believe I have one more cut from Janine Pirro, cut 7, U.S. Attorney in D.C.
What we need is to recognize that the first order of government is the protection of its people. And President Trump is willing to make sure that D.C. has the resources, that D.C. has the determination, and all of us, both in the United States Attorney's Office, are doing the best we can to put together the most solid cases. And so far, we've had 1,528 arrests, 156 guns taken off the street, which means they can't be used to shoot and kill other people. Last night alone, 76 arrests, 5 guns seized. If anyone has a problem with that, then, they're not in compliance with 81% of the American people who think crime is a major problem in large cities.
Well, Judge Janine is most certainly correct about that. This is why I think we love her. She's a straight talker. She tells it like it is. So this brings us back to California. And what's the issue with California? Again, quality of life, crime. I saw this ad. I don't know if it'll be great for those of you listening and not watching on Rumble, but those of you listening, it's really great with the video, but I'm going to play it because you can hear the snarkiness on it. This is an ad for California, and it's so sad because this is where we are now. Okay, when it comes to California. Roll cut 17 for me.
Is your city boring? Too clean? Too safe? Why not take a vacation to beautiful Southern California? Whether you're being assaulted by our drug-addicted vagrants walking down Hollywood Boulevard, or you're just taking a minute to enjoy the scenery of used needles, trash, and human waste, Southern California is the ultimate destination for cultural enrichment. Why not see what awaits you under future President Gavin Newsom? Come visit SoCal today and see what everyone is talking about.
I mean, everybody's talking about it, all right. Feces on the sidewalk, homeless people everywhere. But I think maybe the most troubling is that they said, come see future President Gavin Newsom. I talked about my very special lady friend. She's convinced that he's going to win the next election. And this is a strong conservative, a good Christian woman who just believes in freedom and liberty and loves Trump. She is completely convinced that Gavin Newsom is going to win. She watches this guy talk, and she says, that guy is such a snake. He's such a slick snake. He's going to win. Now, she's a conservative from Texas. What about the woman who is from, I don't know, Pennsylvania, that maybe doesn't quite have the conservative chops that my special lady friend has in Texas? Gavin Newsom may dupe that one in Pennsylvania. He may dupe the Virginia so-called Republican. Gavin Newsom's scary. I tell you folks. He's the most scary guy out there. Now, he's doing everything he can do. And I watched, I'm not going to name his name because I don't want to criticize anybody on my TV network. But I watched a gentleman who has a show on there who also was totally duped by Gavin Newsom. And he's a conservative. Now, he wasn't duped into thinking that Gavin Newsom was great. But if you've seen these tweets from Gavin Newsom where he's writing in all caps and he's using Trump phrases and all of these things, he's trolling President Trump. He's imitating President Trump as a troll. He's not copying him to be like Trump. Now, there are some things that he is doing, copying to be like Trump when he talks about being tougher on crime. But this guy actually fell for it. That, oh, he's copying Trump. I'm like, no, he's not copying Trump. He's poking fun at Trump. And his liberal friends are eating it all up, and they're going to laugh at you as a conservative who didn't even see it. We've got to keep our eyes open. We got to know every angle this guy is taking. And you can't fall for the obvious, okay? Because what Gavin Newsom will do is he'll try to not just make President Trump look bad, but he'll try to make all of you look stupid. And I'm not going to say he's good at it, but he has all his little tactics to get you to fall for stupid things where he's literally playing you. This is the danger of Gavin Newsom. This is why the guy scares me. So, folks, when I tell you look out for Gavin Newsom, I mean look out for Gavin Newsom. This guy is 100% trouble. He's 100% dangerous, and we better be well aware of that. And quite frankly, I would be okay if J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, you don't ever want to talk down to your competition, right? You don't want to bring your level down to them, but don't be afraid to call out the problems of California. Start doing this early on. Start setting the stage, setting the agenda, setting the notion that California politics bad, Gavin Newsom bad, Make America Great Again politics good, President Trump good. That goes for Vance and Rubio. They ought to be making that comparison and starting to do it now. Hey, folks, wouldn't it be nice to be with a company that supports the values that you believe in, that pushes for our First Amendment rights, that protects our Second Amendment rights, that believes that freedom is the way for America? That's what Patriot Mobile is all about. You know that when you sign up with Patriot Mobile for your cell service, you're going to have a company that backs you up and backs this country up. But beyond that, you get 100% U.S.-based customer service. You get the ability to have two lines from two different networks on your phone. No other cell phone company can do that. You get a performance guarantee like none other because you get to choose what network you want to be on. So you're not giving up connection service either. And in the end, you know you're part of Stinchfield's Army. Patriot Mobile is the official cell service provider of Stinchfield's Army for a reason. A little bit of the proceeds that they make off of your cell phone service will go directly to help push American values, whether it's First Amendment rights, whether it's helping our veterans, whether it's protecting your gun rights, whether it's supporting programs like this. Patriot Mobile is on the front lines. If you're not with Patriot Mobile now, you know what you're doing? You're funding the woke left. There's no excuse. Make the switch today. PatriotMobile.com/grant. PatriotMobile.com/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service, or just call them at 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT. Make sure you use that promo code GRANT for a free month service and tell them I sent you. All right, folks. We've got what I would say an eye-opening study of crime in Los Angeles. Sheriff Alex Villanueva went through and looked at crime statistics from his first year on the job as sheriff versus Sheriff Luna's first year on the job as sheriff. This is unbelievable. Under Sheriff Luna, the arrests dropped under Sheriff Luna But I don't even want to say double-digit numbers, but by crazy double-digit numbers. East LA, arrests down 48%. Lancaster, down 52%. Century, down 66%. All while crimes rose. Homicides up 46%. Grand theft auto up 68%. Aggravated assault up 23%. This is LA County Sheriff's Office own numbers. Thanks to Sheriff Villanueva, who went through his own transparency section of the website to gather these numbers. Now, we're going to bring in the sheriff here in a second, but it becomes pretty clear. When you fail to arrest people, crime skyrockets. What a novel concept. With that, I want to bring in our good friend, Sheriff Alex Villanueva, former L.A. County Sheriff, hopefully soon to be the next L.A. County Sheriff, as he is running for Sheriff in L.A. County. Again, Sheriff Villanueva, it's great to have you back on the program.
Great to hear from you, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Sheriff. So let me ask you, when you went in to look at these numbers, did you know or suspect what you were going to find before you went in here? And tell me what it quantified for you.
Well, I suspected because I had been seeing a lot of information, a lot of anecdotal evidence, but I wanted to see the cold, hard numbers, and they were even bigger than what I feared, and I was really taken aback. I know the crime was obviously creeping upwards, and the arrest rate, though, is something astonishing because that is directly related to deputies trusting who's in charge. And when they don't feel they have the support of the sheriff, well, they put their hands in their pockets and they're in self-preservation mode. And that's exactly what you're seeing today. And those figures are 23. The figures for 24 are even worse. And all of a sudden now they're not being published.
All right. I was going to ask you because you compared your first year in office versus Luna's first year in office. And, it's a good comparison because it shows what can be done when a leader takes action right away. And your stats were very different. Tell me your first year in office compared to his.
Well, probably the biggest single number is that we hired 1,100 deputies my first year on the job. I inherited a massive budget deficit of $101 million. The department had shrunk from the 10,000 down to 9,200 under McDonald. So I reversed the trend and we started hiring like crazy. Employees started recruiting family, friends, neighbors. So the trust was back and it reflected in the performance of the organization. Arrests went up, crime went down, and that's how it's supposed to work. However, it didn't fit the narrative of the political establishment.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers here. So in his first year, Sheriff Luna, crime went up 17.5%. That was in 2023. Your first year in 2019, crime down 6.2%. And look, again, I don't have to be a math whiz to tell you hire 1,100 more deputies. You put even if they only made one arrest a whole year, you're going to get 1,100 arrests. You're going to hire more deputies. They're going to make arrests. They're going to go out there and be proactive about stopping crime. The opposite happened under Luna, it appears, Sheriff.
Yes, and those 1,100, you're hiring them at the front end, but what that's doing is pushing 1,100 deputies from custody to patrol. It's pushing patrol deputies to detective position. It's pushing station detectives into specialized units like homicide, major crimes bureau, for example. So basically, the entire chain is fed all the way through with new bodies, and that just revitalizes the organization. All of a sudden, you have a lot more hands on deck that are able to solve crime and prevent crime.
All right, so you get in there and you hire deputies. It looks like in 2024, he had about the equivalent, well, maybe even more. He had more deputies leaving than you had that you hired. So he lost deputies instead of hiring more, and he lost more deputies than you were even able to hire. So this is not a trend we want to see.
No, not at all. And you can see the dashed line on that graph. That's when the Board of Supervisors imposed a hiring freeze. And that once you have a hiring freeze, you can't stop people from retiring. And that's what impacted our numbers. So we got full staffing by April of 2020, and that's when the hiring freeze was kicked in. And when they did that, the board was sitting on a $2 billion surplus. It was purely ideologically driven. They wanted less cops.
All right, we're talking with Sheriff Alex Villanueva. He's running for L.A. County Sheriff to be the sheriff again. You know that Luna's going to say, hey, Sheriff, you lost deputies too under your reign, and I'm glad you clarified this. The only reason you lost deputies was because you were not allowed to hire more deputies. So in the end, we're seeing this conversation of policing, what President Trump is doing in D.C. We're seeing 53 people shot in Chicago, and you've got, I guess, the L.A. City Council must be running the show in Chicago, too, because you've got all of them and the mayor and the governor saying, we don't want the help here. What do you make of all of this?
Well, they just want to basically hide reality. The fact is, you need law and order, and whoever delivers it, it doesn't really matter. As long as people have a sense of safety and security when they hit the streets, and they see a presence of uniformed personnel, that's a start. Then the bad guys start shrinking away once the attention is on, and that's what you're seeing in the Capitol, Washington, D.C. Even though they're not doing anything, just the mere presence alone is a start to get the ball rolling and driving down crime rates. But what does the mayor of Chicago say? Oh, no, we're not going to let that happen here. Oh, yeah. So more people die.
Do you think they're starting to get embarrassed? And when I say this, Democrats that have been pro-criminal Democrats, anti-law enforcement Democrats, are they embarrassed by the success that President Trump is having in Washington, D.C.?
I think they're only embarrassed to the degree that the media is actually starting to unveil reality. And then people realize, wow, how bad things are. And again, the president using a blunt tool, but even those blunt tools work in the absence of any type of law and order.
All right, let me ask you, this may be the toughest question, especially since you're a candidate now. But you get in as L.A. County Sheriff, and Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, calls you up and says, Sheriff Villanueva, we're coming to town. We want to help you. We want to supplement some of your resources there. We'd like to work hand in hand with you and get this under control in L.A. County. What do you tell her?
I tell her, great, I'll use the National Guard, but put them under my command. That way I can use them effectively and working in sync with our personnel on the ground.
Oh, that's an interesting request. I wonder how they would respond to that. Something to be thought about. And it would be an interesting compromise as well. I wonder if constitutionally they could do that, or maybe you come up with a way where you put a general right next to them in your office and you two work hand in hand and you've got to agree on things. Probably something like that could be worked out, Sheriff. Do you think?
Well, actually, in 2020, I did that because I was the one as a sheriff at the time during the riots in 2020. I called up the National Guard, and they were under my command. And I used the current laws in place with the state, the California Office of Emergency Services. The sheriff is a mutual aid coordinator for L.A., and that's kind of how it actually works.
Well, there we go. You've done it before. I don't see why you couldn't do it again. Sheriff Alex Villanueva, why don't you tell people where they could find you, where they can help your campaign?
Yes, my campaign website is alexvillanueva2026.com. You can get me on social media at Sheriff Villanueva33, and I look forward to hearing from everyone. And remember, hashtag help is on the way.
All right, it would be great to get some common sense back in the sheriff's department here in L.A. County. Sheriff Villanueva, I know you're going to try to join me on the Real America's Voice show tonight. That's 4 p.m. our time here in California. I look forward to seeing you there tonight.
Sounds good.
All right, we appreciate you, sir. All right, folks, so there you have it. I mean, the numbers don't lie. When you actually police, crime goes down. When you hire more deputies or police officers, crime goes down. And that's the equivalent of what President Trump basically did in D.C. was Metropolitan Police Department didn't get more police officers. They got more agents. So in essence, it's the same thing. Crime goes down. All right, I'm going to ask you a legitimate question, and I want you to be honest with me. Does my skin look clearer? Do I have more energy than I've ever had before? Can you tell a difference? Do I look like I'm in better shape than I've ever been? Well, the Energized Health system, the protocol, has really helped me transform my life from a mind, body, soul basis. Now, this protocol is about intracellular hydration, getting hydrated at a cellular level. And man, the difference that it can make is unbelievable. Whether you want to lose 200 pounds or you're like me and lose 15 pounds in just a couple weeks on the program, this is what Energized Health can do for you. It's based in biblical principles as well. So we're talking about a total mind, body, soul program that'll have you happier, that'll help you build upon your relationships, and will allow you to do the things that you've always wanted to do physically. So whether you're 85 or whether you're 18 and you need to tighten things up, EnergizedHealth.com is the place to go. I love these guys. They've also got a My 555 challenge, 5 pounds, 5 days for just $5. Can't be beat. Go to EnergizedHealth.com. Check out the masterclass to see what getting hydrated at a cellular level can do for you. It changed my life. Let it change yours. All it is a click away. EnergizedHealth.com. All right, folks. Buzz Lightyear. All right. And this movie, Toy Story. I was a huge fan of the movie Toy Story. There's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 of them, I think. My son used to love 4 of them. Dan the phone man says 4 Toy Stories. Is this, but not including the newest one, Lightyear? Is it 4 and now there's the new Lightyear?
Yeah, that actually came out a couple years ago. But yeah, Lightyear is not a part. Like, that's supposed to be a prequel. But yeah, there are 4 Toy Stories. There really should be 3. I saw the 4th one. It shouldn't have existed, really.
Okay, the 4th one shouldn't have existed. Yeah. I remember the first 3, I guess. I really liked the first 1 and 2. Those are the ones I really remember. My son was into Toy Story, like just about every young kid is, Dan.
Yeah, 5th one coming out 2026, by the way.
All right, a 5th one. So obviously this series, or whatever you'd call it, is wildly popular. The amount of toys that are sold is crazy. Well, apparently this movie, Lightyear. So what is this, Dan? Lightyear is a prequel. This is like what they did with Star Wars, like before the movie. Is that what it is?
Kind of, yeah. This one came out kind of during that Disney Plus era when we weren't sure how the movie theaters were going. But in a nutshell, the premise is Buzz Lightyear was a real astronaut. And in the Toy Story universe, that's the movie that I think Andy was going to see. So this is the story of Buzz, the real guy that they end up making toys about.
Okay. Now, in this movie, there's a gay couple. And I don't understand why. Is it a Disney film? Is it Disney that does it?
Yeah, Disney Pixar.
Yeah, I don't understand why they need to put a gay couple in. Like, enough with the DEI and the placating. There need to be one there. And all it does is spark conversations with kids. Now, I'm sure the gay community will be like, oh, well, that's great. You spark conversation with kids. But parents want to do that on their own terms. As Snoop Dogg found out, Snoop Dogg was with his grandson, and they were watching Lightyear. And apparently the gay couple scene comes on. The little kid figures that something's amiss here, asks Snoop about it, and Snoop says this on a podcast.
I took my grandson to see, what was the movie with Buzz Lightyear?
Toy Story?
Not that one, but
the new Buzz. The Lightyear. I think it's called Lightyear.
Yeah, with Keke Palmer's in that movie.
Okay.
She plays like the daughter. So we watching it, and the lady, which is Keke's mama, they move on into the space years. They move down the line. They're like, man, she had a baby with a woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She a woman. Oh, I didn't come in. I just came to watch the movie. Hey, man, watch the movie. They just said she had a baby. They both women's. How did she have a baby? Shh. The movie ain't over with. So it's like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Like, y'all throwing me in the middle. I don't have an answer for it.
Now, do you think Snoop should have to apologize for those comments? Absolutely not. That's what any common sense individual's reaction would be. He's having a baby with them women's. What a woman's doing having babies. I love that Snoop, by the way, you know what my takeaway is from that? That his grandkids call him Papa Snoop. I mean, you know you call him Grandpappy or Granddad, but Papa Snoop. So Papa Snoop, it comes out that an apology surfaces from Snoop Dogg. And the apology goes something like this. I was just caught off guard and had no answer for my grandsons. All my gay friends know what's up. They've been calling me with love. My bad for not knowing the answers for a 6-year-old. Teach me how to learn. I'm not perfect. That was a since deleted comment on Hollywood Unlocked. Well, Snoop Dogg's manager comes out and says, that wasn't an apology, and that wasn't from Snoop. That was fake. It's a fake, a source close to Snoop Dogg tells Deadline. Meanwhile, Lauren Gunderson defended her idea to include Alicia's wife and son in the movie. So I created Lightyear Lesbians. She prefaced a statement on Instagram. We don't need Lightyear Lesbians. And Snoop, you don't need to apologize because you should talk about these things with your kids on your own terms, on your own timeline. We don't need kids' movies infusing this into our life. That's ridiculous. So this woman, Lauren Gunderson, who's, I guess, responsible for all of this, wrote early versions of what became Lightyear. A key character needed a partner, and it was so natural to write she instead of he. As a small detail in the film, she says, I knew the representational effect it could have. Small line, big deal. I was elated, and they kept it. I'm proud of it. To infinity, love is love. I was one of the few writers they had on it over the years, which is very common for screenwriting, of course. I had very little to do with the final script, but I was proud to see a happy queer couple, even known for a few seconds on screen. I know they got a lot of S for this inclusion, but stuff like this matters because beautiful love like this exists. Folks, give me a freaking break. This is why no one wants to go see Disney movies anymore. Stop with the nonsense. And Snoop, good for you for not apologizing. I'm telling you, I like this Snoop Dogg. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a Snoop Dogg guy. I really am. Oh boy, here we go, folks. President Trump has ordered the prescription reserves of the United States to be refilled. Prescription medications are national reserves. I believe we're going to see a major shortage in prescription medications as President Trump also threatens 200 to 250% tariffs on prescription medications coming in from out of the country. Do you know 90% of the ingredients to make prescription medications in the United States comes from China? That's a national security risk. So I'll ask you this. This is made in America prescription medications. 8 of the most common in this kit from the wellness company. Are you hoarding prescription medications like I am? You better be, because this could become a national emergency. You got ivermectin in here, you got a Z-Pack in here, amoxicillin, and then, of course, there's the field pack. When I say hoarding medications, I mean it. Look at this. I got plenty of prescription medications thanks to the wellness company. I want you to go on twc.health/grant. Get your kit today. See which one is right for you. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And I promise you, you are not going to regret it. twc.health/grant. And then don't forget, there is the Parasite Cleanse. 60 million Americans suffer from parasites. Mebendazole and ivermectin. Only the wellness company offers a Parasite Cleanse like this, sold out 3 times. You want to get these worms out of your system? These worms right here. Let me show you. Right there. It's absolutely disgusting. That's in salmon. Well, the Parasite Cleanse can help you do it. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. Go through their whole website. They are great. Have you heard about the controversy with Rosie O'Donnell? Rosie O'Donnell is so off the chain. President Trump living in her mind rent-free, as the saying goes, is so true. Well, she comes out when this transgender shooter goes and shoots up the church in Minneapolis where this grade school is praying. We all know about that mass shooting. done now by a transgender lunatic. Well, what does Rosie do? Rosie comes out and she blames MAGA Republicans. Well, I've told you since the beginning of time, all the way back to my NRA TV days, they want, at first it started with, they want the shooter to be a black hat and gold letter wearing NRA member. But this was before the red hat made its rounds. It says Make America Great Again on it, not NRA and gold. Either one they would take, let's be frank. Well, they were desperate to have this be a Trump supporter. So Rosie gets out in front of everything and she declares this.
And so about the Minnesota shooting, and it brought me right back to Columbine in 1999 when I just could not get it through my head that students in America were shooting each other in schools. And this was a church inside a Catholic school. And what do you know, was a white guy, Republican, MAGA person. What do you know? White supremacist. Nothing has happened since Columbine. Nothing. The Million Mom March, nothing.
A MAGA white supremacist? I don't think so, lady. I mean, I've gotten into it with Rosie O'Donnell. I've told you before. I've actually had private DM conversations with Rosie O'Donnell. In private, she seems to be a reasonable person. In public, she's the complete opposite. She's a deranged leftist lunatic. I don't know which is the real Rosie O'Donnell because she doesn't talk to me on DMs. Now, I haven't had any DM private conversations with her in years. She canceled her X account, Twitter. That's where I used to chat back and forth with her, starting when I was at the NRA. And she seemed like a reasonable person, but in public, she makes these outrageous claims that she is clearly a radical with no concept of the truth and willing to lie without even knowing. And maybe you don't call it a lie, just literally she just will throw out these claims with nothing to back them up. So she ended up apologizing for this. Let's play the apology.
Hi, everybody. It's Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones. Listen, I have a cold sore. I know. Happens. Get run down, you know. Anyway, I know a lot of you were very upset about the video I made before I went away for a few days. I didn't go online and haven't seen them till today. But you are right. I did not do my due diligence before I made that emotional statement. And I said things about the shooter that were incorrect. I assumed, like most shooters, they followed a standard MO and had standard, feelings of NRA-loving kind of gun people. Anyway, the truth is, I messed up, and when you mess up, you fess up. I'm sorry. This is my apology video, and I hope it's enough.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful you apologized, Rosie. But what are you talking about? Follows the MO. The MO right now of mass shooters are transgenderism. Whether it's the drugs that they're taking for transgender that is invoking this, whether it's the anger they have for themselves that is invoking this violent behavior. But I've got to ask myself. I saw a meme online that my very special lady friend sent me. It says, why do I have to accept you if you can't accept yourself? Talking about transgender people. They want to force us to accept them. They couldn't accept themselves. What hypocrisy is this? And now we've got a real serious problem where transgender violence is real and it's affecting everyday life in America. Now, it used to be, remember what we used to blame for violence in America and mass shootings? We used to blame video games. Well, I don't hear anybody blaming video games anymore. Now we're blaming transgenderism. And transgenderism, who do I blame for that? the radical lunatics on the left that think it's okay to have a 12-year-old boy chop his nuts off and pretend he's a girl, mutilate bodies. It is child abuse. And many states are taking action to stop this from happening, including President Trump. But we see this over and over again. Well, Dr. Gorka was asked about this shooting on CNN, I believe it was. I think we have that. Run the Dr. Gorka clip.
As in this case, whether it targeted President Trump in its rhetoric, as we saw on one of the magazines written by the perpetrator on that YouTube video, or whether we saw the fact that it was anti-Christian and targeting children. That has nothing to do with gang violence. Let's not mix the two things up.
So let's narrow it down then, because by CNN's count, when you look at 32 school shootings since 2020, in which you have 4 or more people who have been killed. So these are the larger school shootings. Only 3 of 32 of those shootings were committed by transgender shooters.
Yeah, forgive me if I don't go with CNN stats, okay? CNN has proven itself to be wholly inaccurate in all kinds of things for the last 10 years, perpetrators of the Russia hoax, and that we didn't have an open border. So please forgive me if I don't take your stats for granted.
All right, it's simple math. 2
All right,
of
let me
32
interrupt
No, it's
shootings.
not. It's distortion.
And Dr. Gorka is going to give exactly what I'm about to tell you. The 3 of 32, they're using gang violence as some of their mass shootings. That is not a legitimate stat. We're talking about public mass shootings, not mass shootings that were targeting gang individuals because a drug deal went wrong. We're talking about public, random mass shootings where a shooter went after members of the public at random. Those overwhelmingly, recently, have been conducted at the hands of transgender individuals. And that's what CNN did. They conflate and use statistics from everything instead of using reality statistics of we're talking about public mass shootings, not gang violence. So, and Dr. Gorka literally brilliantly spelled that out on CNN, much to the dismay of the host, who they don't get their facts from themselves doing research. They regurgitate facts that a 22-year-old intern researches for them and hands them without the reality behind it, which is why you have to do your own research. I told you about the Pope, by the way. The Pope comes out and says, hey, if you are pro-abortion, you cannot be a Catholic. It doesn't line up. He emphasized the need to, quote, reject the voices of death and embrace a culture of life. Thank you, Pope Leo. This is what previous popes couldn't do. I told you, Joe Biden, you can't call yourself a Catholic when you're running around promoting the killing of babies. So, in the end, Pope Leo telling it like it is. And so I would ask every Democrat out there, if you're a Catholic and you're pro-abortion, I'm not sure how you line the two. And quite frankly, all of your policies, value systems, if you're a Democrat, I don't know how you align yourself with Christianity in general, because it doesn't go with the values that I know of as a Christian. If you're a Democrat, I don't think you can be a Christian. I just don't. And that's the bottom line, because Grant Stinchfield said so. All right, folks, that is going to do it for us. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, Stinchfield 1776 on all the social media platforms. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. You get all the podcasts there. And please, if you're watching, subscribe to the channel, share the channel, like the video, heck, copy and paste the link if you want to, and share it on all of your social media platforms. This is how we get the word out there. So stick with me, please. Again, GrantStinchfield.com. That's GrantStinchfield.com. Stinchfield's Army rolls because of all of you. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show. Thanks for watching, everybody.